I'm not doing a PowerPoint because most of you may know Hong Kong U, and also we're looking at a traditional university model vis-a-vis the Minerva, which is very interesting. I've been looking at the Minerva model and thinking just one question: will I send my kid there? Or if I were 18 or 17 years old back then, would I want to join Minerva? And I'm also wondering how Minerva is different, really different from the universities of today. Ken has given a very, very nice model, very inspiring. But I would argue that the universities nowadays are all very aggressively reforming themselves, rejuvenating. So every day they're trying to think of new ways, new forms. And in fact, some of what Minerva is doing is already what the universities are doing. I'm trying to go back to our homepage and show a bit of that and talk. But let me just react to some of the points that Ken raised. So firstly, the universities are all eagerly going through reforms, be they Ivy League or ordinary ones. So you know that Stanford is also trying to do other stuff. And I remember that when I was at NYU, New York University, decades ago, they had a very interesting degree. I think it's called the Gallaudet degree, which is a degree, and then you just combine all your experiences and justify that it deserves a degree. It's a very interesting concept, even back then. And now we're talking about undergrads. In all the universities now, especially in Hong Kong, they emphasize experiential learning, which is very much like what Ken has described, except that they don't do it for all 4 years. No, they don't do it for all the curriculum throughout the 4 years. They still have the conventional ones, the more normal ones, but they include that. For example, at Hong Kong U, we have it doesn't work. Okay, fine. I'm trying to get to the Hong Kong U homepage, that's all. At Hong Kong U, in our Faculty of Social Sciences, there's a course called 3 Campuses. And what they do is they spend a whole year in Tokyo, Seoul, and Hong Kong. And it's social sciences, so they just travel from one city to another and spend the whole year just studying in different campuses. This is a wonderful, wonderful course, and everyone is going for that. So they do have that sort of experience. The other thing is looking at institution. Institution is both a dirty word, but also a rather important word. It is something that we have been trying to build up in society. We build up the institution. We build up the institution that will fit our society as we move along. So I'm not sure if it's always good to do without institutions. And the Minerva is a good model, but is it definitely going to be superior to the conventional, so-called conventional university model? I'm going to raise a few questions in the next few minutes. Okay, you're trying to build your own university, your own model, and the Minerva one is very good. But on the other hand, there are certain experiences that will be lacking in the Minerva model. For example, in my university, Hong Kong U, we have 10 faculties ranging from medicine, dentistry, law, social sciences, and so on. One of the interesting thing and challenging thing is for you to meet different people, students, faculty, from different disciplines, and you can choose. You can choose to talk to this person, you can choose to like this person or dislike that person, and go to their lectures and leave halfway. The Minerva one is good, but it seems to be limiting to a small number of faculty. So there will be only these people, and I won't be able to go to 100 different lectures and meet 100 different professors, and then I will grade them and say these are useless ones, and these are bright ones. So that's something about that comprehensive, wide range that might offer you in a big university. The other is the campus experience. Now, it is definitely good to be on a Minerva model, which is like a special troupe, and they are all on their own, and they're building their own team and their own experience. But the campus experience is something that has not been done away with, even with e-learning and all that stuff. About a decade ago, when e-learning started coming on and there's e-campus and so on, there was a belief that maybe, campuses would be out of fashion and we don't need campuses anymore. The last 10 years has proved that this is not so. Campuses are important because this is a home for people to gather, and this is where they will relate themselves. So campus experience is something that I might miss a bit if I were in Minerva. But of course, we're traveling around with a group of people, and the experience and the relationship build up over those years would be great. Thank you. Thank you. Experiential learning. That's what Minerva emphasizes, and that's also what universities in Hong Kong are emphasizing. So there are a lot of experiential learning trips, and also either they are service learning or they are going to different places to study and so on. So there's a lot of exchange. Now in Hong Kong universities, all of them, you get about a year's exchange at least. And in Hong Kong, for 4 years, sometimes a student will be in Hong Kong the first year, in North America or Europe, Finland for the second year, and then in Beijing or Shanghai the third year, and then they come back the fourth year. So sometimes they also feel that, well, they're just traveling so much and exposed to so many things. So the Minerva one is very much that experience expanded over 4 years. Active learning, and about the lecture experience. Now, lectures, we all have lecture experiences. Sometimes we remember how we all fell asleep during the lecture, or try to stay awake and pretend that we are awake. But the other thing is, lectures are a social experience. I think you must experience at least once or twice or 10 times being in a big lecture of 300 or even 1,000, and with a good lecturer and with a good speaker. MOOC is no, but it's not interactive. It's not interactive. You don't always get good speakers. It's not easy to find speakers who can really command a 1,000 audience. But when you do have that experience, it's once in a lifetime. And I think even if you're not in a university, even if you are not a university student, you must try to get one. Well, not you. We must try to get one. And I know that there are people who have never been in university, but they've always gone to the lectures to just get that experience of seeing something together. It's like a movie. Watching a movie at home is different from watching it together with 300 people. And with Minerva, you can still get the lecture experience by not having it when you're not doing it with Minerva and you have only 18 students. But you can also go and join some other big lectures as you are in that city. And I would say that if I were running Minerva, I would still arrange the students to go and join some big lectures every now and then. Minerva is very unconventional. So what is the value of convention or tradition? The other thing I would want to ask Ken is, Minerva is a good model, but is it sustainable? Will it still be okay when you're not running it and somebody else is running it? And I mean, that's the same question for universities, even for Harvard. Will it be still that good with the next next president? But this is for Minerva is so innovative, but also it seems to depend on a small group of people and how they run it. Same thing for universities, maybe. But in the universities, there are so many committees and so much structure that there's a structure that stays. So the advantage and disadvantage of a structure is something that we might want to look at. So choice, listening to Minerva, I think they would choose to go to Minerva, and it's a very good group. I think maybe in a normal in a university, or take Hong Kong U for example, maybe you have the choice. You have the choice of subjects, you have the choice of teachers, the choice of people you want to meet, and you interact, and you are in residential colleges, you are in committees, you are trying to be in sort of student leaders position, and then you make mistakes, and then you are criticized by the others. So that's the big group experience that is perhaps important in your tertiary education. So I would think that a mix of the Minerva type and the traditional type would work. So when Ken is dead against lectures and the sort of institution, I'm not sure I want to do away with it that much. And I surely want to, although I'm an arts theater student, I would want to meet people who are in law, who are in medicine, in subjects that I will never do in my life, and I will never get to do them, but I will not want to know how they work, how they think, and how they look at the world. Lastly, about cost. I do totally agree that the Minerva model is much more economical. In Hong Kong, we don't have to pay the full tuition fee. The government would pay most of it, and we're paying only 5,000 US per year for tertiary education. That's really, really dirt cheap in the world. Maybe we can argue that, well, it's still the cost. The government is paying for it, the public money is spent on it, and it may not be that effective compared with the Minerva model. I think the Minerva model is interesting, and maybe we should have some of that in Hong Kong, but I'm still not sure that it should be the only, and it definitely doesn't convince me to replace the conventional school all at once. And I think we should bear in mind that even the conventional universities are all trying different models and different things, and they have their little Minerva in their own way. And the other thing is how you would, when you say that 11% of your employers think that the Minerva students, no, 81 of your employers think that the students are superior to the others, I'm not sure that's a very... Or, it's a generic remark. Well, I think it's a little hard to compare the employability in that sense. Also, the traditional universities might have an advantage in that they are rooted in the social norms in society. So they are looking at the institution all the time, whereas Minerva is taking you around to different cities in the world. Maybe the Minerva student would be more global citizen, so-called employable in different cities. But I'm also wondering how that experience might be. It's okay for a small group, but for a bigger group, for all of them, maybe there will be some limitations. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to criticize Minerva, but I'm trying to compare the experiences. And we always believe in tertiary education that we challenge each other and we challenge our concepts. So that's the thing about education and Ednovation trying to be different.